Alrighty. Hello YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, and in today's video, I don't really want to do a review, because I need to see the movie again. I've only seen it one time, but I want to have a discussion about Scream 7. All right, so I've already made a few Scream videos on my channel. I think I've done 2 videos, but I'm a really big fan of this franchise. The first movie came out in 1996. I was in 6th grade. I didn't go see it in theaters. Obviously, I was just a tad bit young for that, but my parents rented it on VHS and we watched it as a family. And I loved it. And then I saw Screams 2, 3, and 4 in theaters. I haven't really gone to the movies that much in my 30s, so I missed 5 and 6 in theaters. But I got a lot of pleasure and enjoyment out of 5 and 6, even though I think both movies had some problems. But I loved the movies more than I was bothered by their problems. All right, and so when Scream 7 came out, I'm at my all time high peak fandom of this franchise. And I've been following certain channels like Sista Pam and Cody Leach and Haunted Hippie and Beyond the Mask and Craven Something Scary, R.I.P. Zach Cherry, okay, all these different YouTubers, and so I'm more immersed in the fan base and the horror fandom than I've ever been. Right, so Scream 7 just dropped. Okay, I went to go see it opening night with a friend. I uh, ended up having a few beers before the show started, so I definitely need to see it again. Okay, but what I'm here to tell you is that I've been watching some videos over the last 48 hours about the movie. And there are some people who are being harder on it than I think that the movie deserves. And I think that a lot of people are kind of missing the point. All right, so I liked the movie a lot more than not, okay? But I also have this ability to accept the movie for what it was. And even though I had a couple of beers, I mean, I wasn't wasted, I wasn't hammered. I didn't have enough to like start slurring my words or anything. But, I had a buzz going and I was feeling pretty good. Well, the movie told us exactly what it was going to be. Okay, they did that through the character Mindy. Okay, Mindy told us during the scene that we get in every Scream movie where they tell us what the rules of this current movie are. Okay, and she told us that this movie is all about nostalgia. Okay, because right now at this moment in time, a lot of people around my age, okay, we're really feeling nostalgic for things from the past. And the people who made this movie were aware of that. And so they gave us what we want right now in this moment. Okay, but what are we going to want 5 minutes from now? That's a whole different story. Okay, so will this age well? Possibly, or possibly not. Okay, one way or the other, they were honest with us about what we were getting. Okay, they had a lot of nostalgia bait. Okay, a lot of nostalgia candy. They offered it to us in this movie because that's what we want right now. Allergies started up today. Sorry about that. Okay, so there's that. Okay, the other thing is that Mindy told us that this movie isn't it's not necessarily for stab fans. And what she meant by stab fans was Scream fans. Okay, she was very transparent. She said this movie is was is deliberately catering to Sydney fans, not even Nev Campbell fans, fans of Sydney Prescott. Okay, so she told us who this movie was for and who it wasn't for. Now, I happen to be both. I happen to be a Scream fan, and I also happen to be a Sydney fan. I'm one of those people that doesn't ever want Sydney to get killed off. Okay, in Scream 6, Gail told Sam and Tara that Sydney isn't going to be here and she deserves to have her happy ending. I'm one of the people that wholeheartedly agrees with that. Okay, so on the one hand, as a Scream fan, I got a lot of what I wanted out of this movie. Okay, they amped up the carnage candy and they had some different and creative kills, especially in the opening scene. Okay, I absolutely loved that. All right, the beer tap scene. Okay. Oh, here's the thing. I'm sorry, I messed up, but I'm not gonna stop the video and start refilming. I'm just gonna finish this because I don't want this to go any longer than it has to. I just want to make my point. Okay, and uh, there are going this video might have some spoilers, and so if you don't want anything spoiled beyond like the fact that Mindy told us what the rules were and what the rules are, for this particular movie, please turn the video off right now. Don't watch any further. I might have already kind of spoiled something for you, and I don't want to make that mistake again going forward. So, final chance. Please turn this video off, or you will get spoilers. All right, I'm mainly talking to the people who've already seen the movie and want to know what other fans think about it. All right, so as a Scream fan, I got to see some amped up carnage candy. Okay, because let's be real, that's part of the reason why I like this franchise and this genre. All right, the other part about it is that this movie also did not tell the same story again. Okay, they offered us something different. Now, was that something different good or bad? Well, that's subjective. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that I appreciated the fact that I got a different story this time. I mean, sure, it had a very similar formula to the rest of the installments in this franchise, but as a Scream fan and as a Sydney fan, I really appreciate the fact that I got to see Sydney as a wife, see Sydney as a mother, and I got to see how her past trauma played a role in the relationship that she has with her eldest child, her 17-year-old daughter, Tatum. Okay, I really like the fact that this particular storyline really humanized Sydney. I'm trying to remember the last time that this franchise did such a great job at humanizing Sydney. And off the top of my head, the scene in Scream 4 where Sydney was doing a public autograph meet and greet signing for her book Out of Darkness, where she read an excerpt from it. That scene was very humanizing as well. And when I look back on Scream 5, and she wasn't even there for Scream 6, I just can't remember a more humanizing, scene or anything like that for Sydney. She's a fictitious character, she's fictional, but she just felt so real to me, and I just really appreciate what that they managed to do that with Scream 7. Okay, now here's the other thing. Okay, a lot of people are missing the point, all right? Okay, because Mindy was offered us full transparency. Okay, this is about nostalgia candy, and this is for Sydney fans. And then you're gonna watch certain YouTubers who review the movie and they point that out as if they were clever enough to make that observation on their own. And it's like, no, you were not clever enough to make that observation on your own. Mindy told you that straight up prior to the third act, prior to the beginning of the third act. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now here's the other thing. Okay, so there was a lot of stew. Okay, gave us some time with Stu, but they had to utilize AI or incorporate AI into the storyline to offer us that. Well, here's the thing. Uh, During the Scooby Doo reveal, Jessica, I think it was Jessica, if I remember correctly, she said what I've been saying all along. To give us Stu would be ridiculous because he's dead. He died 30 years ago. And that's exactly how I felt. And in one of the other videos that I made on Scream, where I shared my thoughts and opinions, I said, yeah, I'm on the Stu train, but I'm on the Stu train kind of out of a sense of obligation because I know that the majority of the fan base, or at least a very loud minority that has led me to believe that they are the majority, wants that. And I think you got to give the people what you want. Well, I think that the people who made this movie actually did a good job of balancing the two. They gave us some Stu, but they, you know, used AI to do it. Uh, but they also stopped the franchise from going too far over the rails because Screams 5 and 6 kind of started to drift away from the realism that the Scream franchise offers in comparison to the other major franchises. And so I like the fact that they at least made an effort to find some balance. As far as I'm concerned, they succeeded. As far as you're concerned, you might have a different opinion, to which I say fair enough. But I'm actually pretty satisfied with uh, what they did for the Stew crew, so to speak. Okay, so now we get to move on. We get to move on from Stu Macher because here's the other point that I think everybody is missing because this movie is so new. All right, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes. Okay, Scream 8 is going to come out. And so the whole point of Scream 7 was part of it was to bring Nev Campbell back because, as Scream 7 continuously reminded us of, she wasn't there in Scream 6, okay? So Scream 6 was kind of like a family reunion where the fans got to reunite with Nev Campbell and Sidney Prescott. And at the same time, Scream 7 was also a debutante ball, a cotillion, if you will, for Tatum Evans. Okay, because in Scream 8, as we all know, Sidney will be passing the torch and handing the franchise over to Tatum. All right, and so Tatum wasn't ready to lead the franchise this time. Okay, but Sidney did so wonderfully, wonderfully. I just got done watching Haunted Hippie's video where she said that she honestly thinks that Scream 7 was Nev Campbell's greatest performance out of everything that she's ever seen Nev Campbell do, whether you're talking any of the other Scream movies, Wild Things, The Craft, whatever else she's seen Nev Campbell in. And I think that this was a great swan song in the Scream franchise where Sidney Prescott is the star. Okay. And so I think that what's going to happen is that when we start, after the release of Scream 8, and after the major fans have seen Scream 8 while it's still playing in theaters, before it gets released to home video or before it gets released to streaming services, I think that we're going to actually look back on Scream 7 and all the people who are criticizing Scream 7 in this moment, they're going to be saying exactly what I'm saying, but they're going to have that hindsight is 2020 advantage on their side. They're going to say, oh, well, this is Scream 8, and in Scream 8, maybe Nev Campbell was there, or maybe she was mentioned a whole bunch, but, this was all about Tatum, and Tatum got to be the star, and they did this, and they did that, and so that's what Scream 7 was all about. It was all about getting ready to pass the torch on to Tatum. Like, that's going to happen in Scream 8. Okay, so there was a lot of fun to be had with Scream 7. I mean, I already mentioned the Carnage Candy, but I really liked Mark. Okay, I wish it could have been Patrick Dempsey, but that's not the Mark that we got, and I'm fine with it because I enjoyed the Mark that we did get, and I really liked Tatum a lot. It was great meeting her, and I wish the actress that plays Tatum, I forget her name off the top of my head. I'll probably remember as soon as I stop filming. But I wish her the best of luck in the future as she perpetuates this franchise. All right, now there are some things that I disliked about the movie. Okay, one of the things that I disliked about the movie was I disliked the fact that they didn't even address Sam and Tara. I mean, they brought the twins back and nothing. Okay, I was certain that what was going to happen was that they were going to explain the absence of Sam and Tara by saying that they were in the witness protection program, and that even though they haven't been allowed to talk to them, last they heard they were doing well. Okay, and I thought they would at least give us that, but they didn't. Instead, they spent a lot of the movie giving Sydney a hard time about not being in New York during the events of Scream 6. All right, so that was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow. I can appreciate Sydney apologizing to Gail for not being there and telling Gail, look, you've always had my back, and I'm sorry that I wasn't there in New York. Okay, I'm fine with that. But then when you have Jessica, you know, crying and moaning about Sydney, about how a ghost face attack without Sydney doesn't count, now you're being disrespectful to Nev Campbell, okay? And I have a problem with that. All right, so that was something that I didn't like. I also don't like the fact that these two random bozos, Jessica and that dude, I don't even remember his name, the fact that these two random bozos burned down the Mocker house, that infuriated me. I was like, how dare you? Like, who do you think you are to do that? I'm not saying that nobody has the right to do that, but if somebody does have the right to do that, you're not it. Okay? But that's how I feel emotionally. Okay? But logically, Tatum is going to have to step out of Sydney's shadow and perpetuate the franchise. And going forward, the Mocker House can't be the monument that it is, while Sydney reigns queen over the franchise. So they had to do something drastic to move away from the current state and give the fans not only an opportunity but kind of a good nudge to embrace the future of the franchise. So even though on an emotional level it doesn't quite sit right with me, logically I can't say that it was the wrong thing to do. All right, was there anything else that I wanted to say? Because I guess I'll just tell you my favorite line, okay? And this is a huge spoiler, and if you haven't seen the movie, shame on you. You should have turned this video off a long time ago, okay? We're going 19 minutes into the video. All right, my favorite line of the movie, okay, there was two. Okay, it was the bar scene where they broke curfew and they met at that bar, and Chad tells Mindy, I really don't feel like getting stabbed tonight. Now, that line hit so hard just because it came from Chad. Had it came from anybody else, it would have been like, no duh. But because it came from Chad, it was like, good job to the writers with that piece of dialogue there. And then my second line of the movie was where during the Scooby Doo reveal, Jessica tells Sydney, like, face it, Sid, you're past your prime. Okay, this franchise needs to move on to a new face. And she's referring to Tatum. Well, then when Tatum and Sydney, defeat her, Sydney goes, she's standing there in victory and she looks down at the dead body of Jessica and goes, past my prime, F you. I was like, that was gold. That was gold. I absolutely loved it. So, and that's another thing that I liked about the movie was, a lot of the one-liners. I think that a lot of the dialogue was really good. It's got some rewatch value. I know that I want to watch it in theaters at least one more time. I get paid on Friday. If I can find some free time next weekend, I might go again alone and I won't have a couple of beers. I'll watch it sober because I know that there are some things that I missed because when I was talking to I missed the fact that the dude was the dude from the hospital. I missed that. So my friend pointed that out to me. And so there were a few things that I missed, which is why I don't think I'm qualified to actually give a review. That's why I'm calling this video a discussion of Scream 7 instead of a review. But ultimately, I did have fun with it, and I think that when Scream 8 comes out and Tatum is leading the franchise, I think that we're going to look back with some hindsight is 2020 perspectives. And I think that the people who are, criticizing this movie now will be singing a slightly different tune or a very similar tune in a different key. All right, so that's my prediction for the future of this franchise, and these are my thoughts and feelings on the current installment of Scream 7. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and please tell me what you think in the comment section below. Tell me whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or if you have some thoughts that I didn't cover in this video. All right, thanks for watching. Horns up and peace out.